The Senate on Wednesday took a major step towards regulating artificial intelligence, hearing from the experts. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called in the biggest names in tech for a bipartisan forum on how lawmakers should approach the rapidly advancing technology. He called it an all-hands-on-deck moment for Congress. Our Jo Ling Kent asked Elon Musk why he thinks the issue is so critical.
The key point was really that it's important for us to have a referee, just as you have a referee in a sports game or all sports games, and that the games are better for it. This meeting may go down in history as being very important for the future of civilization.
Do you think Congress is sufficiently ready to regulate AI?
No, not yet. No, the sequence of events will not be jumping in at the deep end and making rules, but it starts with insight.
And let's bring in CBS News senior business and tech correspondent Jo Ling Kent. So what, if it's not jumping in at the deep end, as Elon said, what are the actual issues? What are the main kind of big issues that are at stake right now in terms of regulating artificial intelligence?
The big topics that were discussed between these powerful CEOs, these billionaires, and the senators today were really focused around safety and the pace of development of AI, because so much of what's developed by AI scientists and researchers can then go out into the world and do things that maybe they weren't even aware AI could do. For example, pass the MCAT or, do all kinds of tasks that AI couldn't even do a year ago. And so it's about moving quickly and maximizing the upside while minimizing the possible downside of job elimination that so many of these senators from both sides are so concerned about. The other issue that came up that Senator Tester told me about was the fact that there's concern about China leading the way and being ahead of the game and being able to set the global standard. And senators are hoping that they can establish dialogue and then regulation that allows for lots of innovation going forward, but also the safeguards to protect people as they use AI without losing to China. So that's a very tall order. Senator Schumer told me today that he expects that there will be additional meetings of this kind, but we hope that there'll be open press. The doors were closed today, unfortunately.
Yes, well, they do that sometimes, but even though the doors were closed, was there discussion about legislation to use existing structures to try to regulate AI, or was there any talk of creating an FCC or other kind of federal agency that would manage these kinds of issues?
There was discussion, according to Elon Musk as well as Senator Schumer, of an additional new entity to regulate AI. But Senator Schumer was very quick to say, it's too soon to talk about that they're very much in the research and development phase when it comes to figuring out what bipartisan legislation may look like. Meanwhile, there are bills percolating in the system. Of course, the White House also has a position on the development of AI as well. And so there are a lot of ideas, being worked out here in Washington. But the idea of an additional entity is certainly met with a lot of resistance, but some tech experts and sources that I've been talking to over the past few days are amenable to that. In fact, Senator Schumer said today that when all of the CEOs were asked, should there be regulation of tech, he says all of them unanimously raised their hands.
And what is the thinking, given your reporting from the tech companies? What's their kind of mental view about cooperating with the federal government? Because some of them are, getting the business from the federal government, which is trying to regulate them and limit what they try to do. How do they think through this kind of quasi-partnership with the federal government on the question of AI?
Well, they all say that they would adhere to any regulation put forth by the government, and many of them, including OpenAI, Sam Altman, the guy who's responsible for ChatGPT, say that they want to be helpful in creating that regulation, and they're open to it and they encourage it. And if you look at, Congress's track record over the last 5-10 years, there have been many hearings in which Sundar Pichai of Google or Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, Meta now, have been dragged before Congress over social media problems, right? And there have been very little to no regulation. And so what we see from this is maybe a little bit more collaboration, and it seems like they're trying to establish a little bit more trust between, the tech CEOs and the lawmakers, and to really educate these lawmakers as to what ought to happen to achieve what they say are mutually beneficial goals.
Well, Good start. Jo Ling Kent in Washington. Thanks so much.
Thanks, John.